Hello again, everybody. Welcome once again to another episode of the Tigers Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Schulte, and we're going to get started today with some good news on the injury front and some bad news on the injury front. But first, let's get to the bad news first, because Wenceel Perez went down on Friday with an oblique, and that is probably going to end his season. It is August 11th as we record this podcast. The season ends, I believe, on the 29th of September. I don't think they're going all the way through to the 6th of October. That would just be silly. Of course, according to my wife, it's silly that they go through the 29th of September. But anyway, so it's very probable that he's not going to come back from that because obliques take a lot of time. He's on the 10-day injured list. As a result, Akil Baddoo was called up to fill his roster spot. Now, I don't see him coming back just because, as I said, they're going to take their time with this, and he's good enough that he's probably solidified a spot on the 26-man roster next year. With the fact that he's a switch hitter, he's got good speed, he's got decent power, and he gives you a good at-bat pretty much every night. But at the end of the day, they're not going to want to take this too quickly. They're out of the race. They're not going to get the wild card. They're going to finish 500 this year, which will be good, but they're not going to get the wild card. So they're not really playing for anything. What's the point to bringing him back? Numbers on the back of a baseball card? It's not worth it. So you will probably not see Wenceel Perez in a Tigers uniform again this year, which is too bad because he really was playing quite well. But with just under 3 weeks left in August and then the month of September, he will probably start baseball activities sometime in September, which just does not give him enough time to get the at-bats he needs and to just do what he needs to do to allow for a quick recovery and all of the things that he needs to have done. So it really sucks, but Wenceel Perez is out with an oblique injury. Now, the good news is Casey Mize had a rehab start on Thursday. Let me double check my numbers. 35 pitches, 2 1/3 innings, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 hits, no runs. His fastball topped out at 98 miles an hour. So he's looking like he's on track to, well, let's see. So his rehab start was Thursday. His next one would be Tuesday. That's the 13th. And then again on the 18th, which would be next Sunday. Although maybe not, because that's two starts in a row against Charlotte. So they might push him back until Tuesday the 20th, where he's going to start against somebody else. I don't know how that works with starters because of the way that they play their series in AAA. But so possibly Tuesday the 8th or Sunday the 18th or Tuesday the 20th. And then again on the 23rd, or possibly, I don't know how they're going to do that, but it's more than likely that he'll end up showing up in Detroit probably around the 25th or 30th of August, depending on how his rehab starts go, which will be good for that depleted starting rotation. And Kerry Carpenter is probably, and I say probably with air quotes, because, well, with emphasis, I should say, because it depends on how his back feels tomorrow, but he will probably start the homestand on Tuesday back with the big club. He played outfield today. He was the DH over the weekend, and on Thursday he was in the outfield as well. Today he had a double and a couple of runs driven in. They just wanted to see. He said he feels like he's starting to get his timing down again, which is always a good thing. So look for him to be back on Tuesday. Probably going to see Justin Henry Malloy sent back down, because really Kerry Carpenter and Justin Henry Malloy are the same player. They just bat from, one bat's left-handed, one bat's right. So that's the way that's going to be. Outside of that, I wanted to take a quick look at what's coming up for the Tigers over the next 6 weeks, really. 6 or 7 weeks. And as I said, Detroit's going to finish 500. I picked them to win the division this year. And I know I'm backing off of that a little bit early, but I've seen what's been going on and paid attention to what's been going on. And look, it's just not going to happen this year. They looked bad against Minnesota. They looked bad against Kansas City. They looked bad against Cleveland. And that changed my mind, especially looking bad against Cleveland and Kansas City. Yes, they won the season series against Minnesota, but Cleveland and Kansas City, Cleveland specifically, you had a winnable series there. All you'd had to do was win one game, and you'd have won the season series. They lost both. Kansas City, if you split that series, it just looks better. You lose 3 out of 4. Now, to be fair, the third game that they lost in that series was the Sunday game, and they were down there. They were up 2-0 in the top of the 9th, and Kansas City came back and won it out courtesy of a 3-run homer off the bat of, I believe that was, I can't remember the guy's name now. I'm blocking, MJ Melendez. In the top of the 9th, he came in and pitch hit and took Jason Foley deep for a 3-run shot. And so, to be fair, they played pretty well in that game, but they didn't play well enough, obviously, because they lost. So there you go. There you have it. But let's take a look and see what they've got left. They took 2 out of 3 against Seattle over the last week. And then over the weekend, they lost 2 out of 3 to San Francisco, but that was a road series. Playing 500 ball on the road is never a bad thing. So we'll take it. They had a chance to sweep that series in Seattle. But Ryan Valade makes a tough play, or tries to make a tough play and doesn't make it, and 3 runs score on the error. So, it's just the way baseball works. So they got one more series against Seattle this week at home. They've got Colorado at home still. They've got the Yankees and Red Sox at home. They've got a home and home against Baltimore. They've got a home and home against Chicago, the White Sox. They got to go on the road for the Cubs, the Padres, the Athletics. They got the Angels at home. And they have one more on the road in Kansas City. They've also got Tampa Bay at home as well. So that's what the schedule looks like. That's who they still have to play and where they still have to play them. I don't think they're going to do well on the road against Oakland and San Diego. San Diego's just too good. And Oakland, they never win in Oakland. They just don't. Oakland is a bad team. They're still going to lose to them because they don't play well against Oakland for whatever reason. Since 2018, they just can't beat the Oakland Athletics. They just can't. So at the end of the day, look, there's 7 games under 500 right now. I think there's enough wins there that they can actually get to 500 and finish at 81 and 81. I'd like to see 82 and 80. 83 and 79 would be good, but I'll take 81 and 81 because you know what? It's an improvement over 78 and 84, which is what they were last year. So, and look, if the division played out the way it was supposed to, Detroit wins that division with a 500 record. Maybe they have to win 2 or 3 more games. So they end up with 83 or 84 wins, but they win the division that way. Kansas City was a 100-loss team last year. They're going to be a 90-win team this year. Matt Cucciaro is going to win Manager of the Year in the American League. Congratulations. All that means is your team played well this year, but guess what? They were crap the year before. So that award is meaningless. It's pointless. Yay, I made a bad team into a good team. I took over a bad team and it came out good. Ask Pedro Grifol about that. So at the end of the day, Kansas City was supposed to lose. Cleveland was supposed to lose. Detroit's biggest competition was supposed to be Minnesota. It didn't happen that way. Minnesota, Cleveland, and Kansas City decided to start playing like the 98 Yankees and winning. They weren't supposed to do that, but they did. Detroit wasn't supposed to have the injuries that they had, but they did. Kenta Maeda was supposed to be a better pitcher this year, but he wasn't. Casey Mize was supposed to pitch well. He's been okay when he wasn't hurt. So at the end of the day, the things that were supposed to happen didn't. So now we're where we are. And we're going to play the rest of the string out. Riley Green's going to go on a rehab assignment within the next couple of weeks. He'll come back. Spencer Torkelson didn't have the year that he was supposed to have. He may end up coming back from the minors. He may not. But at the end of the day, we just didn't do what we were supposed to do to win. We didn't keep up with the teams that we were supposed to beat. We lost to them. We're going to lose to Baltimore. We're going to lose to the Yankees. I'm not saying we're going to get swept by those teams, but we'll lose 4 out of 6 to Baltimore. We'll lose 2 out of 3 to the Yankees. We'll probably lose 2 out of 3 to Boston. We'll take 2 out of 3 from Tampa. We'll take 5 out of 7 from Chicago. We've still got the Cubs that we got to go to Wrigley and play. We might take 2 out of 3 from them. We'll lose to Kansas City, probably lose 2 out of 3 to them. We'll lose to Oakland. We'll lose to San Diego. We should beat Colorado. We just proved that we can beat Seattle. This is a team that beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3 games. When we play the way we're supposed to, we can't lose. Or we lose less than we win. The problem is we don't play the way we're supposed to. And the reason we're not playing the way we're supposed to is because the players that we're supposed to have aren't doing their jobs. Javi Baez is himself. Spencer Torkelson is a head case. Riley Green is on the injured list again. Kerry Carpenter's on the injured list again. Casey Mize is on the injured list again. So yeah, when players don't do what they're supposed to, teams don't win. Check me out on Mastodon at tbpodcast at tweescake.social. You can email the show, tigersbaseballpodcast at gmail.com. It's the world's longest email address. I'm kind of proud of that. And like and subscribe here on YouTube. I do appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Go Tigers.